It's time for you to be bold and outrageous. It's time for you to be a villain. And I don't mean go out and do bad things or be a bad person. I mean, it's time for you to stop playing small. It's time for you to stop holding yourself back from living a life that you actually want to live. A villain doesn't question if they're worthy, deserving, or good enough for something. They don't wait until they feel ready or confident to tackle whatever it is that they want to tackle. They know, they are so sure of themselves. They stand in authority and conviction of who they are, and they do not falter. They cause destruction, and they don't think twice about it. Now, in this instance, we're not necessarily causing that type of destruction, obviously. But in this case, the destruction that we are causing is we are going to flip our world, flip our life upside down in the best possible way. Think about all the things that you have talked yourself out of throughout your life. Saying, ooh, I really want to do that, but I don't think I can. I'm not smart enough. Or I don't know how, so I'm just not going to do it. Or what if it takes forever and then I'm not successful in the end? We come up with all of these crazy excuses as to why we cannot have the life that we want, or why we cannot pursue certain things. Like you want to go start a business, but you're too scared because you don't want to fail. Who said that you're going to fail? No one said that. There's no proof that you are going to specifically fail. The thing is that we make up those stories in our mind and then we live by them. And then when we go and try to start a new business, for example, and it does fail, then we're like, see, I knew that would happen. Well, yeah, you knew that would happen. Exactly. That's exactly why it happened. Because you stood in your authority and your conviction that that is what would happen for you. Think about someone that you know that life just always seems so easy for them. So easy, so effortless. It seems like nothing bad ever happens to them. And if something bad does happen, it's not even a big deal to them. It doesn't faze them. People like that are exactly what I'm talking about. They don't write negative stories or unfavorable stories about themselves or their life. In their mind, everything works out for them. You are the author of your own story. You are also the editor. You are also the narrator. You're also the main character. You are everything that makes up a storybook. That is you. You are in charge of every little piece. You get to decide the life that you want to live. Nothing in life is preventing you from having that life. That is just your observation of what life is. That is the way that you are perceiving things. You are standing in level 1 in a 10-level building, looking out that window, only seeing cars, only seeing trees, only seeing stoplights, only seeing the road, only seeing people walking. But that doesn't mean that there isn't more outside of that. When you take the elevator up to the 10th level of a building, you see buildings a couple blocks down the street. You see a bridge in the distance. You see the sun in the sky. You see birds in the sky. You see clouds in the sky. But from level 1, you can't see that because that is your level of awareness or your perception or your perspective of things. The opportunities or the path or the steps or whatever it is that you want to call it, that's going to get you to where you want to be, it's already right in front of you. You just need to change your perspective. Go up to that 10th level of the building or change the filter on the glasses that you're wearing. Because right now, everything is filtered. When you remove the filter that is essentially holding you back, that is when opportunities start pouring in, experiences start pouring in. And it almost seems kind of like it's out of thin air a lot of the time. Think about something that you felt has come out of thin air for you. Did you necessarily work hard for it? Did you go out and search for it? Think about now that I say that, think about when you lose something in the house, like you lose your keys or something. And you tear apart the whole house and you're like, where are the keys? I know they're somewhere right here in this vicinity. Why can't I find them? You're done tearing apart the whole house. You just give up. You're like, whatever, I'll just go use my spare key. And a few days pass by, and all of a sudden you're sitting on the couch, and that missing key miraculously or magically just pops up out of nowhere. And you're like, okay, that is weird because I know I checked that spot 5 times the other day. Well, yeah, but when you finally gave up the attachment you had to that missing key, when you finally stopped saying, "Oh no, it's lost. Where is it? I don't have it. I need to find it. I want my key. Where is it?" When you dropped that attachment, that is when the key showed up for you. That's exactly the way it works. When you stop acting or doing things from a version of yourself that is not aligned with the life that you want to be living. You could be doing all the right things, taking all, am I recording? Yes. Oh my God. Okay. That scared me. You could be doing all the right things or taking all the right steps to get somewhere, but it's going to mean nothing if the version of you that you're doing it from doesn't match the end result. And I've been there so many times thinking I'm doing what looks good on paper. Everything looks right, but why is nothing in my life changing? It's because I didn't change first. As within, so without. You can't expect to experience change if you don't change who you are. If you expect to experience something, but you also feel like you're not worthy or deserving of what you want to experience, then how are you supposed to receive it if you feel like you're not even worthy of it? That is when the villain you needs to step in and be like, no, no, no. We are not doing this game anymore. I deserve to have the life that I want to live, and I am going to live it. I'm done holding myself back. I'm done being a limited version of myself. I'm done living by society's standards. I'm building my own standards now. And I'm going to experience the life that I want because I said so. When you become that legendary version of yourself, you become unstoppable. And that is when you finally start to experience the life that you actually want. If I hadn't become the villain in my own life, I would still be sitting at my apartment in Texas, in a city that I outgrew, in a job that I also outgrew, having the same unwanted experiences over and over. Like when I wanted to quit my teaching career, it's not that I didn't like teaching, it's just I felt like I was being called to do something more. But I was so scared that I sat on that. I sat on that idea and the decision that I would not make for an entire year. Until finally one day I showed up at work and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I think about the life that I want to live every single day, and I think about how I'm not living it, and why am I doing that to myself? So right then and there, I typed up a letter of resignation and I turned it in because I knew that that was what I wanted for myself. Same thing when it came to me moving across the country. I moved from Texas to Pennsylvania. And there was something that was holding me back, the fact that I knew I would be even further away from my family and friends than I already was. But the fact is that I was already living away from my family and the majority of my friends. Me moving to Pennsylvania wasn't going to be any different other than the mileage. And honestly, it worked out in my favor because I didn't like driving for 5 or 6 hours. I do not like driving. I would much rather get in a plane and fly to my destination and just be there. It's all taken care of for me. So I had to get out of my own way when it came to that because I was holding myself back from living in a city that felt more like home than the city that I spent 14 years of my life in. Being in the city now in Philadelphia, it feels so amazing. Don't get me wrong, I have had some challenging days because it is a little bit lonely moving across the country all by yourself with no family, no friends. It does get lonely, but moving here has already opened up, or it's not even that moving here opened up a different perspective for me. I opened up the perspective, right? I was able to open up a different perspective on things that allowed new opportunities and ideas to flow to me. Like, this is my first video that I've made in a while, and I've missed you guys so much, by the way, those of you that always tune in. If you're new here, welcome. But this is, my first video back in almost a month, I want to say. But it's because these new ideas kept popping into my head, and I was like, I need to actually execute these. before I spend another year thinking about it and not taking any sort of action towards something that I'm feeling called to do. So I've been working on a couple of business ideas the last few weeks and I've been super busy. But the point is that you need to stop holding yourself back. Think bigger. Be extravagant, be outrageous, be bold, like I said at the beginning of the video. Stop holding yourself back from the opportunities that are already probably staring you right in the face. You deserve that. You deserve to live the life that you've always wanted to live, and it never has to stay the same. Remember that. Life does not have to be this static picture that never changes. You get to choose the frame whenever you want. If you choose to, switch your career up, but then, 5 years later, you feel like, okay, well, maybe I want to do something different. That is completely okay. That is okay. You're not supposed to necessarily stay. That's what personal growth is all about. It's not about staying the same. And I know that's what we've been conditioned to believe, right? Well, you got to pick a career and make sure you pick the right one because you're going to be stuck with it for the rest of your life. No. I never told that to my students because I knew how limiting that was. You deserve the life that you want to live. You just need to become a villain in your own life. Be strong enough to go against those little, voices in your head saying, oh, but are you sure you could do that? Are you sure that's going to work? Ooh, that's scary. I don't know. That is just your brain's mechanism. That is how your brain is designed to operate. Your brain is always designed to operate and keep you in a loop of what's familiar. Doesn't mean that what's familiar is what's right or what's helpful or what's successful. It just means that that is what your brain knows to be factual for you right now. And it's always going to operate based on what is factual for you right now. But like I said earlier, at least I think I did, you are the editor of your own story. You can override what your brain knows. Your brain is going to always filter in and out for you what you experience and how you experience it. That is how you perceive things. But you are always in charge of that. You need to be the villain and become strong enough to go against your own self in the best possible way, of course. So that does it for this one. I love you so much. I will see you next time.